Ladies and gentlemen, the quarterfinals continue here tonight. We're live from the Tavern of Champions, and it's time to move on to our second quarterfinals. Casters, I know you like that one. Are you ready for quarterfinal number 2?
Yes, yes, and yes. I'm going to answer for all three of us if you don't mind. Kolento versus Kranich to come up on quarterfinals number 2. It's been a long day, but we're still just in the thick of it. Kolento, we saw him earlier, and he was going up in a really tightly contested series against Run and Gun, and was barely able to squeeze it out after some technical difficulties. And now we come back here. How do you think his mindset is? Kolento, did you get a chance to talk to Kolento at all as his teammate?
And I'm similar to Kolento and same looks, but yeah, we talked, and I told him that it's great that he advanced to the top 8. But right now, it's life and death. Like, if he wins, he goes to top 4. If he loses, he drops out of the tournament. But I did encourage him that what he needs to do to become a world champion is only win versus 3 people.
Yeah, that sounds simple enough. Let's just do that.
Yeah. Well, he did that many times before, so
yeah,
that's right.
Done it plenty of times to get to here. It really doesn't seem that bad when you put it that way. 3 people and
yeah, all right.
into the world champion.
Not bad.
I'll take it.
One at a time, of course. You don't have to worry about being in a really big group or whatnot. Just basically take them down the challenges as they fall. Kolento is one of the most consistent players in recent memory. In all the tournaments he enters, he's always a threat. And taking a look at the bracket to see how we've journeyed thus far. Once more, if you're just joining us, Tither Celestial took out Tare and punched his ticket to the top 4. And we're about to find out who will join him tomorrow between Kranich from Korea and Kolento from Ukraine.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of Kranich's play so far. Not too much of it, but I've been pretty impressed with what I've seen from him. I think he's really on point with his decks. I think he understands his matchups really well. Really playing to kind of how his strategies unfold also. He's sort of similar in the way that we saw Tare last round, where he would find these kind of unconventional spots to look for lethals because that's what he had to do. Kranich is sort of along those same lines. He really looks deep into his plays and understands what he has to do and really struggles to make it happen. Oh
yeah, certainly. Yet again, we have a lot of players here, and Kranich is one of the best players in the world for sure. He is in the top 8, and if he wins versus Kolento, he will advance to the 4. I feel like even though we might think like Kolento is favored, I still think this will be an even game. Best of 5 series, anything can happen, and it depends on the deck lineups. Also, like Kolento is saying, I always look at one opponent at a time. Like, you want to focus on one match, one guy, one lineup, because if you don't win, it doesn't matter what's happening after that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, these two guys, we've learned a little bit about them, but Kranich, she's a new face to BlizzCon at least, because we saw Kolento earlier today. We had a video to describe to you a little bit about these two players and talking about themselves.
I'm actually really happy because I have a chance to play on BlizzCon stage. There are so many people watching me. My name is Hakjun Baek, and I'm from South Korea, and I use Kranich as my Hearthstone nickname. I'm a Hearthstone player for Team Golden Coin.
My favorite class is probably still Warlock. I like having many options in hand. My name is Alexander Maric. I'm from Ukraine and I'm 23 years old. My nickname is Kolento.
I'm a not good controller in games like StarCraft 2 or something like that. I like to put my brain to play well, and that's why I'm playing Hearthstone.
If I'm in good condition, I can tell what play exactly is the best in a particular situation.
I really like to make some moves that my opponent can't really expect.
To all fans, I want to say I hope you will enjoy all my games and did not get that disappointed if I am losing the game, because I cannot win everything.
That is right. You can't win everything, Kolento, but you can win this series, or will Kranich be able to continue another dream run? Because again, these two players, Kolento and Kranich, as they walk up to the stage for the round of 8, they have a lot riding on the line, a ticket to the semifinals and $15,000.
Oh man, this is exciting. And when I look at those players, I'm thinking beautiful mind, because in Hearthstone, you really have to have great memory. You have to read your opponent and you have to plan the plays. It's not about mechanical skills, because you can take your time but you know that the better player with better mind skills wins the match.
Mind skills.
You know, you say that.
I don't have enough attributes in that category, let me tell you.
You say that mechanics aren't a part of it, but I've seen plenty of players rope and misclick from time to time. There are definitely some mechanics involved, especially
little bit,
especially
especially
on the
on the iPad.
yeah, the touchscreen ones can get really brutal.
The tablets.
And Kolento says he can't win everything, but he's doing a pretty good job at proving himself wrong. If you take a look at the way he's been playing tournaments lately, just seems like he wins almost everything that he plays.
Right, there was a 5 to 6 week streak where he just didn't drop a single series. It was 13 or 14 series in competitive tournaments where I think he won 2 of them and placed in the finals of another. So Kolento, he's on fire when he's on point. Just like you said, he can look at plays and optimize them because he just played so much Hearthstone. You look at a guy like Kranich, you don't know too much about him. He says that he likes to play Hearthstone because he's not necessarily as fast and good, but he also is a guy who's told me he's played a lot more Hearthstone in recent memory. He said during the OGN seasons or when I qualified, I wasn't really that good. He was the one who told me that personally. But he said after he qualified for BlizzCon, he boot camped, buckled down, and I think he's really come out as a strong player.
Yeah, but just playing Hearthstone is not enough. I mean, Kolento is also studying his opponents. For example, even before this game, he was reviewing the VODs from last weekend when Kranich was playing, just to get a bit more information and refresh his memory on what Kranich was playing, which decks, which cards were popular in his decks as well. So if Kranich did put the same amount of preparation into this match, it will be equal. If he was a bit sloppy, then maybe Kolento has an edge.
No way. I saw Kranich preparing very, very intently. I'm trying to see what Kolento is able to do. Admiral, do you have any thoughts on either of these guys?
Well, not only is it about preparing for your opponent. I'm sure both of these guys have done that, but a lot of it is just about you saw Kranich. He said he likes to come up with play strategies that put his opponents to the decision to make, something they can't necessarily predict. And I think that's what both of these players do. Kolento really likes to restrict his opponent's decisions, oftentimes foregoing a lot of damage to the hero to restrict those options. And Kranich, I've sort of seen him do the exact same thing. He really likes to restrict his opponent's options, but it sometimes likes to turn up the heat as well, go straight for the dome and try to pressure his opponent out of the game. Maybe I have a ton of bursts in my hand. You need to attack my minions.
Well, he wants to become an RNG god, so if you want to become one, you have to put yourself in the spots where you can win having, lucky RNG.
You hear that, Kranich? Former RNG god telling you how to do it. I mean, Nimsh was once upon a time thought to be the exact same thing. Kolento's also been getting his own fair share of lucky breaks, too, being able to squeeze out a very narrow victory over Run and Gun. But, people don't really know too much about Kolento, the fact that he loves to play Hearthstone. But did you know he once broke his leg jumping for joy and missed an entire semester of school?
That's a lot of joy.
I had no idea.
That's like
I should have used that excuse instead of the dog and the homework one.
It's like a 14-foot jump for joy. Just dunks a basketball right in his face. He's like, ugh. Lands. He's like, oh man.
I would like to see Kolento dunk a basketball.
That would be. I think if he could jump high enough to break his leg from jumping for joy, I think he definitely can. Yeah.
I think we should introduce him to Hearthstone earlier. Imagine Kolento having 5 years of Hearthstone experience.
Yeah. I mean, he'd be unstoppable at that point. I mean, if he just has 5 years playing non-stop. I mean, he logs. There was a story where one time he was still playing another game very competitively. He was on a pro team, and he was apologizing to some of his other mana grind teammates, like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I only can play 6 or 7 hours today. Is that going to be a problem?" Other guys are playing Diablo 3 as Reaper of Souls came out. They're like, "Yeah, it's no problem." They're completely intimidated. Non-stop grinding, but also apparently he has fun while playing those tens of thousands of
Oh yeah, certainly. I mean, he just has a lot of fun just playing ladder. It's I was hanging out with him a lot when we were spending time at those events. And Kolento, when he wakes up, he just plays ladder. Then we go to play the tournament. We play in the tournament, and then after the tournament, he goes back to the hotel and plays ladder again. So he's just having so much fun playing ladder. And I was watching him playing, and he's just enjoying it so much. He's reading the matchups, he's smiling, he's laughing at the plays, and it's really enjoyable to watch him play and enjoy the game.
Can you guess what Kolento probably will do if he wins BlizzCon?
Gonna jump for
Play
joy.
ladder.
Probably going to go get #1 legend on ladder.
No, I was thinking he's gonna jump for joy and break his leg.
Oh,
No.
that's would have been a much cleverer answer. I go with that
hopefully
one.
not.
I'm changing it.
I don't. By the way, Diablo 3 I think is great for practice. So actually at Fight Night, you know, Forsen, Darkwanics, all those guys, they were all playing Diablo 3 the whole time leading up to it. We're like sitting there
Not
grinding out the
Kolento.
games, and like they just took one of the series. So I was like, come on, man, you guys have been playing Diablo 3 the whole way. Game 1 about to begin though, and both of these guys queuing up Shaman right into each other. We've seen a lot of mirrors.
That's first time
So
for
far.
Shaman today. Let's
Yeah.
see if Kolento can keep it up, or will Kranich once again from Korea and Team Golden Coin be able to surprise some people. Now I know, like Doa, for example, is on Team Golden Coin. He can't speak enough about Kranich. He feels like he is a great representative from the region. And it goes a lot to say how far Korea has come along. When OGN was first displaying their tournaments for Hearthstone, people took that region results with a grain of salt, right? They said it's not really the most competitive region out there, but they do have some okay players. But I think now you have to take them a lot more seriously, considering that their play has been pretty sharp, barring a couple of nervous moments where you played against Firebat.
Oh yeah, certainly. But everybody has nervous moments when you're playing at the World Championships. So.
Sure.
But Shaman versus Shaman, guys. Do we know like what version of Shaman Kranich is playing? Is it like double Doomhammer or more mid-rangey?
I mean, this Dark Iron Dwarf into Azure Drake really signaling he wants to ramp into this mid game. And Dark Iron Dwarf, I think, by the way, is a fantastic choice when you have cards like Nerubian in your deck.
Well, Kolento has a bit of a different version. He is running one Reincarnate. He's running two Banners as well. He doesn't run Doomhammer in his version.
Yeah.
So it's I'm curious like how this version will work versus a more standard build.
Well, when you're very board-centric, you know, cards like Lightning Storm is always one of those key cards to really swing the board in your favor. And a lot of these Death Rattle minions are pretty fragile. So if you can get a good Lightning Storm off, I still foresee it the same way. It's all about the board in this matchup. Although one player is going to be able to be more slightly aggressive with a Doomhammer compared to his opponent.
Yeah, Kolento taking, I think, by the way, a pretty big advantage early on. This kind of board can very easily force a Lightning Storm. He's already gotten one card from his opponent. That Nerubian isn't going to die directly to a Lightning Storm. Even if it rolls high, you'd have to have some spell power out.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
To be
even
able
if
to
the
fortify that. I think this is a really great position from Kolento super early on in this match.
this board is so dangerous to Lightning Storm. If you roll low on the Flame Tongue Totem, you're in a really bad spot. Also, Kolento has Feral Spirit as a follow-up.
That's right. You know, the Feral Spirits are really powerful because you're often going to have to split two cards to kill it. You usually have like a minion and then maybe Lightning Bolt. Otherwise, it picks up great value with Defender of Argus, Flame Tongue Totem. Being able to collect value in this matchup is also really important.
So Kranich already in trouble. Is he going to go for the roll? Like even if you cast Lightning Storm, you will be overloaded for 2 next turn.
That's right, and you have 3 mana available. He goes for it, and he gets it. High roll on everything.
Wow.
That's you know, it seems like the high roll on that Nerubian may not be important right now, but if he draws a card like Urshok, now it's going to be able to kill that directly. So this is actually a much bigger deal than you may think it is. You know, it's right now it's not, but in the event that he draws something like Urshok, it ends up making all the difference in the world.
Well, it makes difference anyway, because if it will be at 2 health after Feral Spirit, Kolento could play Defender of Argus and the Spider will survive. But right now, there's no way it will survive Feral Spirit.
Very good point.
Right, you just toss out Feral Spirits, you get overloaded, you have 4 mana next turn, you don't have a clear play. So tossing out Feral Spirits feels very bad, but what are you going to do otherwise on 3 mana? Are you just going to totem up? That's also a very weak turn.
If he totems here, I imagine he's looking for a spell power totem, of course.
Right, and
wants to use that lightning bolt.
Dark Iron
Yeah,
Dwarf.
I definitely wants to do that. But I have to agree. I think Feral Spirit's a much better play here. It's going to set you up for almost every time you top deck like a Fire Elemental. Lightning Bolt's still going to be good. He chooses to go for this. You know, not a bad play because his alternative, of course, is still Lightning Bolt and Nerubian. So his Lightning Storm is kind of chalked up to the idea that it's not going to kill the Nerubian this turn, but it will set me up for a Lightning Bolt. So making a big difference. But again, Kolento being able to leverage this board position, he gets a safe Azure Drake on this board. He's got 2 4/4 bodies out. This is a lot of pressure coming into Kranich's side of the board, and he doesn't have a major swing card in his hand right now.
Kolento knows that Lightning Storm is out of the way, so right now he can overextend as well.
I see.
Just a little, and not too much.
Yeah, but most of the players, do you think like most of the players are playing double Lightning Storm or only one copy of it?
I would say double Lightning Storm is still very important to have. You know that your opponent has like the possibility of playing Zoo. It's a really strong deck in the metagame. I'd be very surprised if some people feel like it's slow enough metagame that you can get away with one Lightning Storm.
I like how Kolento is trading with minions, keeping his board present and slowly dealing damage instead of just going to phase.
Wow.
And there is a second Lightning Storm.
Yeah, I think Lightning Storm is one of the most important cards in the Shaman Mirror too. The game is so focused on trying to develop and keep control of the board that what ends up happening is you just get a lot of small minions on the board that really threaten anything your opponent can play, and Lightning Storm helps you catch back up from that position. Or if both of you guys are kind of going, straight at it and really battling back and forth, Lightning Storm ends up being a big swing card to completely take the game away from them. So drawing the second Lightning Storm, a big blessing at this point.
But would you use it here? I don't think it's that effective.
No, here it's not a very good spot to use it. It looks to me like, even though you're not getting too much value out of it, it looks like Black Knight's a totally fine play, which is, of course, great news for Kolento because he's already got Alec here in his hand.
I was looking at the golden card animation for Lightning Storm, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I'd ask that card out on a date, and I'd call it back.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's you didn't call me back.
Most of the golden cards are really beautiful.
Oh,
Look at
no
the
hard feelings.
Look at the Feral Spirit as well. It's like the freeze effect and the chill.
Yeah. I never saw the Lightning Storm golden card. I don't know. It's just either that or I've never paid attention to it. It looks like the more you look at it, it's more mesmerizing. It's like an optical illusion.
That's why Hearthstone is such a fantastic game.
It doesn't actually ever deal 2 damage to you. It's always 3.
Yeah.
It's always 2 when you cast it and 3 against
It's cool. They're like electric whips that are controlling, but obviously we know he's channeling it. It's just a nice little thing out there.
That's the advantage of the digital card game instead of like a physical one. You have those beautiful animations in the cards, and you can collect them. And
That's right.
Enjoy.
Although Lightning Storm would have been worth a lot of money in real life. Low type, of course, a very powerful play to shut down the availability of your opponent, especially if they're mana locked or only 6 this turn due to overload.
Oh, Black Knight is still the play, but wow.
This is rough.
Yeah.
Right. This is one of those spots that you often see players get into where they don't have a lot of good decisions. So at this point, Kranich really having to think forward, sometimes 3-4 turns, really think about what's the least bad of his plays at this point. 'Cause
Lesser evil.
He's got some plays that are okay, but nothing really spectacular, and that's a disheartening feeling when you're playing. So let's say he ends up playing Black Knight right here, for instance. It's going to take out this healing totem. This wolf's going to take out the 0-1. You're facing down 8 points of damage. Your board's going to get killed again, and then your opponent's going to redevelop their board. Is that the kind of position you want to be in?
You have a spectacular play, by the way. Argus the wolf, then play Flametongue Totem, and spectacularly kill the frog.
Steal as much damage as possible using the most cards that you can.
Fair. You watch. You have to be nice to the frogs. I saw an ad the other day of what happens if frogs become extinct and flies are everywhere. So
I feel at this point...
Oh, wow. That's scary.
I feel at this point that when he chooses not to Black Knight here, he is intent on saving it for something like Alec here, or until he just absolutely has to have another minion.
But it's still a 4-5 that contests for the board advantage, or board control rather, which is very important, especially against a deck like Kolento. Even more so because you don't have many ways to do the burst damage other than the Alec here. You're going for more of a board-centric control because you have Sylvanas, you have Reincarnate, you have ways to load up really strong things and impact the board state, but you don't kill your opponent as fast as, Kranich, or even going to the double Doomhammer deck that we've been alluding to multiple times.
Yeah, but most of the matchups for Shaman are for board control anyway. So if you have Reincarnate and Rubinex...
Look at this. He's going to get rewarded for his patience in holding on to this Black Knight.
Wow.
It's going to get a lot more value, I think, than it would have had it been in my hands. But that's why he's at the World Championships. This could put a lot of... This may be the kind of turn he needed to actually really get back into this game, because this is a lot of damage he's buying himself. Not that this by any means is going to be the game-winning play for him, but this is a big step in that direction because he's been behind for basically all 8 turns of this game.
You can still misclick. The frog is really close to Alak here.
What's with you and killing frogs? Ben Brode has something against the owls, but you have something against these frogs.
Yeah.
He's amphibian.
I think like frogs are threats, at least here. We've seen Kolento winning with frogs before.
Do you want flies everywhere in your house, Nimsh?
No.
Black Knight coming down on the Alakir is pretty much the best card you can ask for in this matchup, short of your opponent playing some very interesting choices. Like, we don't always see Sludge Belcher in the deck. That also is a viable target as well if they chose to include it.
Definitely is. This Manatide Totem, again, it's pretty liable to pull some heat from Kolento's side of the board. If he doesn't feel comfortable killing his opponent over the next couple of turns and like really putting a lot of pressure down, this Manatide Totem really likely to be attacked here. And it's just sort of from Kolento's style that we've seen in the past, he loves to restrict his opponent's options, so I think it's very likely that he's going to continue to follow that same line.
At this point, you also have to ask yourself a question. Is it worth just going to face? Or I would probably hex the 4-5 and kill it with a 2-1. But still, just putting your opponent at 10 points of health is huge. But I guess Kolento will kill this other.
Right. I mean, you do lose the burst, though. You don't have Alakir anymore, and you're not running Doomhammer, so Kolento doesn't have the way to rush down his opponent other than just spells. And I feel like it's more important to focus on the board. It plays to Kolento's style, too. You know, Admiral was telling me this some time ago, where Kolento sometimes, if you had to choose one weakness, it'd be that sometimes a little bit too board-oriented.
Yeah.
But if you're playing a deck that's catering to that style anyways, it's no longer that weakness. It's the primary way to win the game.
Right.
Yeah, and it worked for him beautifully because his opponent only has he has double Flame Tongue. A lot of reactive cards that need a board. He is a Shaman player, and with no board, those cards are just dead.
With this, a Lightning Storm being forced out with no hope of killing his opponent's Loatheb. Stuck with 2 Flame Tongue Totems in his hand. Dude, look how ugly this is.
Now Kolento knows the double Lightning Storm is out, so he can overextend for sure.
Harrison Jones being squeezed out. A Flame Tongue sandwich. Featuring Harrison.
He
With a
is
Stone
on,
Tusk meat.
he is on fire.
Oh, man.
This Harrison is just
Was he
waiting
thinking
for the
about contesting on the board with the Flame Tongues, or what was he thinking about?
It looked to me like he was thinking about it, but I think when he goes for it, he gets blown out by every single lightning bolt and Earthshock.
That is a painful
Yeah.
totem roll. That that healing totem, instead of spell power or searing, ends up healing it to 5-4, which means fire elemental, lightning bolt, slightly out of range,
gosh.
unless you roll the spell power totem.
He barely escaped. Is this a spell power totem?
No, it's not. This is looking really
Like,
bad.
that makes a huge difference because that's a 5 attack minion that could be edging you closer to death.
Yeah, but Kolento still has an Earthshock. So Harrison Jones is going to enter the fold.
Nothing belongs in the museum right now.
Right, Harrison's talking to nobody.
Yeah.
In fact, I didn't even hear his battle cry whatsoever.
He was like,
He stayed silent for that one.
that belongs in a... Where is it?
Do you think for Kolento
He ran into some mean owls before he got out there.
do you guys think it's finally time to attack? Like maybe stop clearing the board and you know, just deal a couple damage to maybe finish the game in the turn?
Well, if there's one thing I know about Kolento, that it's probably not that time right now. I imagine he's just going to use Hex. You know, in the same vein, we saw him Hex a 4-5. Oh, whoa, well, maybe I spoke too soon. Oh, he's going to Hex it afterwards. Okay, so he is gonna Hex here, but I do like his attack for 5 straight away here because he has Earthshock to push through this next turn, or he has Lightning Storm, whichever one he chooses to use.
Haunted Creeper is not the card he wanted.
Well, I guess you can have Revenge of the Frogs.
Well,
Which sounds like a terrible movie that some Hollywood producer would pick up.
the frog is going to kill the wolf. How cool is that?
That's pretty cool.
That's a big frog, by the way. Can you imagine a frog that killed a wolf? Like in real life, how big the frog would have to be?
Not a world I want to live in, man.
Yeah.
The Ruben Egg, a fantastic combo with Reincarnate, but I'm not sure if Kolento wants to show the card.
Oh, he already played it previously. Oh, he's little spell power totem as well.
All clear.
Just clears the
No
board.
cards in hand for Kranich.
Yep. I think
No
you
cards on the board. Kolento using Reincarnated on this egg. A ton of damage on the board. And
seal
I
the
can't
game.
think of a single card in Kranich's deck that can get him out of this one. Short of Deathwing, there's about...
Deathwing still
even
dies.
Deathwing wouldn't do it because there's a Nerubian egg
Oh
on the
my
board.
god, he
Not
did
even
counter
Deathwing
Deathwing
can
with
save-
this play.
Not even Deathwing can
That's
save
not
from
a
this one.
Deathwing.
Feral
Well,
Spirit.
Feral Spirit? Does it save him?
No, there's not a taunt
No.
totem there, so Urshock's going to be enough to push through this. And game one's going to be going over to Kolento in this Shaman Mirror. Ahead almost the entire game at every step of the way. This is top-notch play that we're seeing. This is a man who's hungry for a world championship right now. This is a, you know, I've said it before.
Wow.
Or Nibs has said it before, rather. Would you rather face Jiraxis or would you rather face Kolento? And frankly, for me, I think it's Jiraxis.
I'm going for Jiraxis as well, man. And imagine facing both Jiraxis and Kolento at the same time.
It's happened before.
Oh, yeah,
That's
it
right.
did.
He has played Handlock. And, you know, Kolento does have that Warlock available. He's playing Handlock, right?
Yeah.
I keep guessing this wrong. I was like, well, Kranich obviously is playing Zoo.
He's playing Zoo.
Like, oh, gosh,
Is
I
Kranich
don't know
playing
about
Zoo?
this one.
Are you sure? Is he-
Well, I think from this point on, when you have Warlock and Druid remaining, or sorry, the Warlock, Druid, Priest, and he has the Shaman available to continue on, I think Kolento's in a really good spot. Winning that Shaman Mirror is pretty important because, you know, you have the availability of being able to use it and line it up accordingly to having the match advantage, winning that first game. So this is what you want. Like, if you're a Kolento fan, this is what you want. And Kranich needs to get a really important win with either his Hunter or his Warrior.
Well, Hunter is a fantastic deck to sweep. So if he has Hunter available, he can just pick it. It's an okay deck to play versus Shaman. Right now it's tricky. Like before, Hunter had a very good win percentage versus Shaman. Right now it's a bit worse, but still a very powerful deck to counter whatever Shaman is doing. And I would definitely go with Hunter and try to steal as many wins as possible.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Hunter, not quite as big of an edge as it used to have when Starving Buzzard was still 2 mana and you could draw 36,000 cards and kill your opponent's entire side of the board. But, you know, still packs a really big punch right now. It's Savannah Highmane's still a tough card to get through. If you don't find a Hex or an Earthshock in your hand, Shaman's going to have a really tough time dealing with it. And a lot of times they have to use those cards to deal with your early game pressure. So
Also,
it's still an advantage here to the Hunter. But
it also depends on the build. Like some of the Hunters that are still playing Unleash the Hounds and Juggler, and then that build is better versus Shaman because you can use the base strategy of overextending the Shaman is applying against them.
Yeah, that's right. The totem hero power works against the Shaman when you're playing Unleash the Hounds. So every time you're building up the board, the Hunter has another knife to throw at your face. So it's a very tough situation if he's playing for that. But whether or not you even have so, there comes a point where the Shaman can turn aggression right back on. But usually you require cards like Doomhammer to do that. So I'm looking at cards like Nerubian Egg and Rockbiter, or Nerubian Egg and Reincarnate to potentially be Kolento's stabilization point. You can have the similar removals that you use to line up to take care of Undertaker, but I'm looking at that card combination to potentially be one of his tickets to stabilize him.
Well, he even has Sylvanas Reincarnate, so if he's able to just steal Savannah Highmane, that's a huge play. And it's like, you steal Savannah Highmane and you still have your own Sylvanas, you just win the game right there.
That's right.
it's an excellent point both of you make. Also, Dark Iron Dwarf, you know, a great card to help activate Nerubian Egg, and then just the 4/4 body alone can really contest a lot of stuff the Shaman does. It's out of range of Eagle Horn Bow. It's going to directly contest every single animal companion. You know, sometimes it'll trade, sometimes it'll come out ahead, but those are all points that can really help swing the game in Kolento's favor, even though they're just very small and subtle changes that are being made to the deck.
Absolutely, and we see a great start for Kranich with the Undertaker, but nothing to synergize with it. He needs some of his backup singers in order for this starter.
Yeah, well, he's got 2 shots at it right away, and then, of course, the first draw on his turn. He's going to need some Death Rattle minions, or this is going to get a little bit ugly.
And he gets them.
There's
He
Animal
gets
Companion,
one.
too.
He gets 1.
All right, but it's still a good curve, and it's a different minion, and that's a Leperno.
Oh, that's a Leopard Nymph.
So is this Undertaker going to
just
bury
picked up.
Kolento?
Well, Kolento
Definitely
doesn't have a direct answer.
definitely liable for the Tombstone problems.
That's
Yeah.
not what he wanted.
Yeah, definitely. Manatide Totem not the card you want to see in this matchup right now. And Kolento's hand extremely slow. Really unfortunate mulligan from him. This Undertaker's going to get pretty big, pretty fast. Then to back it up, you know, these are some. That's a Blue Hoarder's one of those Death Rattle minions that you really don't like killing because it gives your opponent a card.
And that's very interesting because normally Shaman has access to the best counter card to counter the Undertaker, which is Airshot. Kolento didn't join to it, but he still has a Harvest Golem, which is a great minion to play and to contest the board.
Now, this is a different direction that he can take right here. His Animal Companion, or now he even has Eagle Horn Bow. All of these cards that are in his hand right now can contest that Harvest Golem in some way. Which one of them is best?
I like Eagle Horn Bow because then you, for the next turn, you will play Animal Companion and Leperno, and still can kill something with the bow. So basically, you're developing the board and destroying the board on the Shaman side.
Yeah, I like controlling the board a little bit more from your opponent. You know, the Undertaker, as much as it is a holy grail in a sense to protect it, having minions to answer whatever your opponent's doing is also valuable.
Now, let me ask you, why do you think he put the Undertaker at risk instead of drawing a card?
That's a very good question. I guess he's like valuing damage more. He thinks like he is in a good position. Maybe he wants to bait out a Lightning Storm or...
Well, I think he's just playing around. Like he's hedging his bets against spot removal, which a lot of shamans do have. They have, you know, Lightning Bolts, Earth Shock, Rock Biter. And so he's just making it so that way he can still answer the board. And if he loses a minion, he's still in an okay spot.
Right, Animal Companion is going to roll a Misha.
All right. Is he happy about that one?
I'd be pretty happy about it right now. I'm protecting my entire board. You know, something short of Lightning Storm, I think that this board position is very difficult for Kolento to get past if he doesn't manage to draw it right here. And just look at what's happening. You know, he's only got 4 mana available to him. He can kill this Misha, but he puts both of his Flame Tongues at risk to do it. The Dark Iron Dwarf's not enough. On how to take out this Nerubian, it just seems like Kranich has got all the tools he needs to really put a lot of pressure on Kolento this game.
Oh man, that's like if he rolls a Leok, that's huge as well.
Oh.
Well, there's a Leok.
Wow.
Undertaker now directly contesting that Nerubian, but it looks like he's got other plans in mind.
He's probably going to use a Leopardome and Hunter's Mark. Or even like weapon attack, because he can spend life and a minion is more valuable.
Well, so he's going to draw a card, then he's going to use the weapon attack. Picks up Kill Command too.
Oh, wow.
This is a spot where you develop Haunted Creeper instead of Hero Powering, right? I know in this matchup,
so.
Hero Power is really important. You know, over the course of 6 or 7 turns, the Shaman is fighting the entire match to try to get board control. If you've gotten enough free damage from that Hero Power, this is looking at sometimes like a Pyroblast by the end of the game.
Yeah, I think so. I think the weaving in Hero Power is important, but you know, at the same time, he doesn't have a play the following turn, right? So if he has Hero Power this turn, next turn he also can Haunted Creeper and play his Hero Power. This way he's not playing too greedy, and if his board gets wiped, he'd be okay.
There's a Lightning Storm top deck that can possibly put Kolento back to the game.
I think it's definitely a card he needed right now. I don't know how important it is this turn exactly, because I think Feral Spirit's doing a really good job at keeping the board under control as well. But certainly an option.
You have a chance to roll a spell damage totem and then roll high on Leok and just clear. It's a really low chance, but I think you have to go for it. Next turn you can stabilize with Feral Spirit.
Do you think Lightning Storming first? Wow, I'm surprised by that. I absolutely would have cast Feral Spirit first. I'm very surprised by that play. This is a very different line of play than what I would have taken.
Well, I think he just values his health. Values, you know, not giving his opponent to use like Hound Master and being able to abuse it, and then valuing his health as a result of that. Feral Spirit's still able to challenge the board, but Kranich picking up yet another minion that can punch through it.
Well, the thing about this matchup is that Hunter is contesting the board for a couple of turns, and then Shaman eventually wins the board, but it's too late, and Hunter just finishes Shaman with Hero Power and Kill Commands. That's why this matchup is so bad for Shaman. And right now, Kolento is really behind. Like, he is on defense.
Yeah, not really much else to do. I think Feral Spirit's, this is about as good as it's going to get. It's going to contest both of these minions on the board.
That's a card that you have to be very fearful of, because it shuts down the spells. You're so dependent on your spells to be able to draw you back into it.
Wow, he's actually going to Hunter's Mark straight away, and he wants 4 damage on the board. And why not? Kolento isn't going to have the mana to use Lightning Storm next turn, even if he draws one, because of that Lothar battle cry. This is looking pretty grim for him this game.
It looks like this game is over. He needs its own totem to live one more turn, but he knows it.
That's going to do it. Kranich ties it up 1-1 with his Hunter deck, and he came blazing out of the gates. And, you know, a really small, subtle play there. A lot of these cards, they just kind of lined up poorly for Kolento. It was a very strong draw and then heads-up play and make sure that his sequences were right. But showing his knowledge just with the Hero Power, I think, as you mentioned, he didn't have a follow-up play on that turn, so trying to weave in those Hero Powers and get maximum value from that. A lot about what this matchup's about, because it takes Shaman, you know, like you said, they have to get control of the board, and then they have to start killing you. If you've used a Hero Power enough times, they often don't have enough pressure to be able to kill you before you can just kill them with Hero Power.
Also, you have like a limited amount of cards, so you want to use the Hero Power every turn and keep your cards to be able to play them on the following turns, because if you just overextend and they clear this, you just start Hero Powering there, but you're not doing any pressure, you're not playing any cards. So right now, what Kolento has left, like what deck is he going to choose to counter Hunter?
He has Warlock and he has Druid available. You know, some people said that this fast version of Druid, when it first came out, was strong against Hunter, but that was before Undertaker in all of its beauty came out onto the ladder. So I'm not exactly sure how this Druid deck stacks against Hunter. What do you think, Admirable?
I think that Druid still has a slight advantage in this matchup. Not a huge one, but this is a sort of a way I think about Druid in a lot of matchups. It's really close kind of either way. It's a very comfort and safe pick. If you really understand the matchup really well and your opponent doesn't, I think it gives the Druid a much bigger edge. But if both players understand what's going on, I think the amount of pressure that the Druid can apply, and then some of the swing turns it gets with cards like Keeper of the Grove, or maybe Innervate to accelerate out some bigger stuff, you can just oftentimes put so much pressure on the board that Savage Wars, even without a Force of Nature, ends up being more than enough damage to really force through some victories here. So I think if he chooses to go with this Druid, especially he's playing 2 copies of Haunted Creeper and 2 copies of Echoing Ooze, I think he's got the edge in this match.
I think there's a couple of key moments. Like if Shaman gets the Lightning Storm, if there's no Lightning Storm, then the Druid will possibly win. Also, if you're able to like contest the board early, being the Shaman, if you lose the contest, then Druid is just killing all you have and getting an edge and getting tempo, and then eventually killing you after a couple of turns. Also, an Innervate might be important to just maybe get a Shade of Nakramas early to be able to overgrow the Lightning Storm. So there's a couple of those of small things happening in this matchup that are important. I think it's pretty even, actually.
Well, you know, I lean a little bit towards Admirable. I think the Druid has to realize that he can be the aggressor here.
Yeah.
And doesn't have to play so control-oriented, but it really does depend on the starts of how they go down. And remember, this best of 5 has now been shredded to a best of 3, so the person who wins this match will be in a great spot. It looks like Kolento immediately chooses to go with his handlock instead. And you know what? And you know what? Some people have been feeling like this matchup is not as bad as it's famed to be, right? People say that handlock and Hunter, oh man, Hunter's just so favored. But I guess more and more people are realizing that you can fight back.
It was in the past, because in the past you had Unleash the Hounds and the Buzzard. You could just draw a lot of cards. You basically drew all the cards in your deck. So you were getting the key cards like Kill Commands, Hunter's Marks, when you needed them. And you also were you also had Tracking, which was a very important card to get the cards you needed. Right now it's different. As a Hunter, you only have a limited amount of cards to be able to defeat Handlock. So if Handlock is putting enough pressure and just stopping you from pressuring it, Handlock will eventually kill you a couple turns.
Yeah, there's a couple other things that really change this matchup and the dynamic of it as well. And a really big one is just Sludge Belcher. This deck struggled a lot to find a follow-up play to turn 4 unless it had a taunt, something like Defender of Argus or something. One of the taunt givers in its hand to really apply a lot of pressure. And sort of one of the ways that I think Handlock wins this matchup is just by racing their opponent. So when you've seen something like Sludge Belcher to help fortify your board position so you don't have to worry about putting some of your minions at risk, even though that like Hunter's Mark can push through them, and then even something as small as people running Snake Trap instead of Freezing Trap in some spots. You know, I've seen a lot of people run 2 Snake Traps and 1 Freezing Trap. That really helps Mountain Giant and Twilight Drake push through a ton of damage. All those little things kind of adding up really gives Handlock, I think, a chance to win this matchup a lot better than it had before. Certainly still one that you don't expect to win more than you lose, but a lot better than it used to be when Hunter was very aggressive. Sometimes we're even running like Arcane Golems and Wolf Riders just to pressure damage through.
Right now it's very interesting. Oh my god, a Hoffer. And there is a Snake Trap that was protecting this Leper now. So Snake Trap, if there is an attack into Hoffer, will like produce 3 snakes, so that's a lot of damage incoming.
Yeah, I imagine this is going to be a Soulfire turn. I really don't think you want to attack the Sun Fury Protector in the Huffer. Because again, sort of the same thing that you were thinking. Once he's attacked with the Sun Fury Protector and he's seen that Freezing Trap wasn't what it was, he's kind of aware that it's Snake Trap, and that's a card he wants to try to leave dead on his opponent's side of the board as long as he possibly can.
Soulfire discards Faceless, which is a good discard. Like if he would lose the Shadow Flame, that would be devastating. He needs that Shadow Flame to clear the snakes.
Any of his taunt minions like Sludge Belcher and Defender of Argus also would have been a very devastating loss, but he maintains it.
Kolento needs to get his Molten Giants to be able to put pressure on board when he gets low enough. Because if you're not very fast as a Handlock, Hunter will get you low. And then you have only, what, 2-3 more turns to be able to win the game. If you don't get into your heals and Molten Giants. If he gets Molten Giants, he will be able to steal the game. But for now, it looks grim for Kolento.
I got this.
Oh, and he's going to go for Shadow Flame straight away. I like it. This is kind of the turn this is what kind of the turn he was waiting for when he wasn't attacking his opponent's minions. He was aware that this was Snake Trap, wanted to clear this board out.
Ooh.
Wow, look, Cult Master drawn, you know.
Just in time.
This is a card I've talked a lot about in the past with Hunter. I do not like Cult Master in this deck. I think that once you've used the Hounds to draw cards, you've kind of done the reverse of what it did before when you used to draw the cards all up front. It kind of really defeated the purpose of drawing that Hunter's Mark at the very last moment. But, you know, to that same effect, I also saw Lothar win a match entirely off the back of Cult Master, just using it to leverage what he had on the board and just fill his hand back up.
This turn is so awkward, by the way. What do you even do? Haunted Creeper and Hero Power, but then again, if you Hero Power, there is the risk of Molten Giants. They probably don't want to deal any damage this turn. You might probably play the Cult Master on empty board and just pass.
I can definitely see playing the Cult Master here, but at the same time, you have to think about, if you don't start putting together damage now, with the way your hand's constructed, are you going to even be able to fight through something like Molten Giant? Let's say just your opponent plays it for 4 mana next turn. I think you got to start pressuring your opponent and just kind of hope that he doesn't have Molten Giant so that you draw kill commands, what you need necessary to win.
Well, Cult Master, I would probably keep the card because it represents a draw possibility, and because of Cult Master, you might be able to get into those kill commands earlier.
I like Haunted Creeper too because it gives the draw potential, like you said. But he does hold off on the hero power, which I can understand why. Although I do feel like you're missing opportunities, to kill off. But I think without the kill commands in hand, you definitely don't feel very safe doing that.
Oh yeah, certainly. I mean, this is why Headlock is so powerful. There is this threat of Molten Giants looming around, above your head. So you have to choose. Do you want to just deal as much damage as possible and risk just losing right there, or do you want to be more conservative with damage dealing and play around them?
Yeah. Savannah Highmane, by the way, a lot of pressure being added to this board. This will oftentimes force his opponent to use Iron Beak Owl, silence it, make sure he doesn't get those 2/2s on the board. The fact that those are beasts really makes a big difference in this matchup too. So something he's thinking about. He's got a lot of plays this turn, but how exactly does he put this together? Because this Savannah Highmane is turning out to be a much larger threat. Like, imagine his position right now. Kolento, he's thinking about, what do I do if my opponent drops a Houndmaster? What about if he drops another Savannah Highmane? All these things are going through his mind right now. And so he's got to find the right sequence of plays that gives him a chance to climb out of this, even if his opponent's got great columns.
Yeah, silencing the Highmane is definitely a higher priority. He's going to lose one of his Defender of Argus. I mean, was he willing to part with that, or was he willing to get rid of another card, you think?
Yeah, I think Defender of Argus is a card he's fine discarding. I think he would much rather discard Twilight Drake, but you know, Earth Enemy Farseer and Defender of Argus, I think in this position are kind of the same because he had another Defender of Argus. This Jiraxis, however, we haven't seen Soulfires discard Jiraxis pretty much this entire tournament. It's making up for all the times that Jiraxis has always been discarded to Soulfire in the past, and this is the Savannah Highmane that he drew last turn. Right off the top and right onto the board. This is another kind of troublesome position because he could deal with it indirectly. It cost him so much to have to kill this stuff.
Oh, there is a Molten Giant, and this is very important. He can just play it here and use a Farseer.
Now, there's no way you're tapping, right?
I don't want to say there's no way you're tapping, but
well, I'm asking you as an expert here. Like,
instinctively,
do you feel like you have the room to tap, or do you feel like it's an off limits?
He can attack for 7, getting Hunter to 19, and next turn he'll have possibly 18.
Wow. He's gonna go for life. I instinctively life tap, and it's just because I want to find a Sun Fury Protector or maybe a Hellfire Soulfire to really push for lethal here. But as Nims was saying, he's got a lot of damage in his opponent's face right now. This will take him down to 19, and then just look at what's on the 15, 18 damage after that. So if he finds something like a second Soulfire or a Siphon Soul, a Sun Fury Protector, so many cards in his deck that can really fortify this board position. You know, he's down to 15 life at this point, but he's got 2 toss-up at the same time. So certainly, wow, this is
spread out damage across the board. Play around. Well, it seems to be Defender of Argus in the hand. That was the card that would have bolstered it.
This is a position, I think, where, you know, one of the few times where I think Cult Master is really going to see a lot of value.
That is going to be an insane amount of card draw.
That's a lot of Hounds.
Yeah.
If he would get a kill command, he would win right there.
This is a really tough position, I think, for Kolento to climb out of now that he's got this many minions on the board. So yeah, maybe really good that he hedged his bets against this because his opponent would have drawn even more cards had he not done this. Taking his time, seeing what he draws one card by one.
That's going to be practically a full hand, although Kranich can play a few other creatures.
Going
He's
to
even
clear
going
the
to
Molten.
Giant. Yep. He's going to draw Thunder Spark right at the end, too. Just like
That's going to be painful, but at least it saves for other creatures.
Yeah, one more.
Wow, that was just an amazing move.
What the heck? That was his hand was like 2 cards, and now he's had a full hand.
You know, I said I didn't like Cult Master, but you know, sometimes it doesn't really work out very well. This is one of those spots.
Oh, does he want to overdraw his opponent? Oh, he's going to try to see if he can get his opponent to burn a card.
Web Spinner. What is Web Spinner going to draw? Let's see. And picks up.
Oh!
Are you kidding me? That is an 8/8 charge into the hand from Web Spinner. That's about the most value I think you can expect to get from it.
Shadow Flame is a good card, but does it save Kolento?
It's a good card, but your opponent's got 10 cards in their hand, and it's at 26 life. I don't know if this is a position
well, if
you're
he
exactly
plays
comfortable with.
and kills off these minions, you're going to try to burn some more cards.
The
Hunter's Mark being gone.
That's 11 points of damage coming from
Oh my
Kranich.
gosh, but I think this is going to be a King Crush. He's going to count his damage and see if there's something better he can do, but I think this is a really great opportunity to get an 8 points of damage before your opponent taunts up.
Oh man, are we going to see the biggest predator in World of Warcraft?
Oh, he's
He has
thinking
to
of his
be
place.
really, he wants to be careful about this too.
Well, Loffa is a fantastic card. You just develop the board and
Right.
seal their hands. So
But it's not like the handlock can't clear, so if he just plays a bunch of minions.
If he plays that Leopard Gnome first, tells me he's using the Eagle Horn bow.
Right.
Can't disagree with that. Oh, he's actually going to take out his opponent's Loatheb to prevent Shadow Flame. That's a pretty heads-up play.
Yep.
I like it. Right now, Kolento is forced to still develop the board. Like, if you play Jiraxis, you're just dead. Is there anything you can do?
Well,
That's
he can
actually true. King Crush is 8 damage, right?
13,
so
16. I don't know if there's a way you can get out of this.
you're always threatening 15 damage.
Oh my gosh.
And a Leper Gnome on top of that.
Well, you would kill off the Leper Gnome and then Jiraxis.
That's exactly what he's going to do.
I mean, that's going to be enough for
that's
King
not gonna
Crush to end the game.
A Web Spinner drawing King Crush is going to end the game despite facing Jiraxis and Kolento at the
same time.
Same time.
So the answer to the question is, would you rather face Kolento or Jiraxis? The answer to that question is, I'd rather have King Crush.
Would you rather face Kranich or would you rather face King Crush? Well, you got to face both right here. 2 games to 1 for Kranich now as he takes this game. Unbelievable draw from that Web Spinner.
Kolento
That is an end to the game.
What a I can. It's not very often you see an ending like that, and in the Hearthstone World Championships.
And the World Championships.
The
That's the
truth of
best
the
place to
matter
see
is, a
it.
lot of times, even if you manage to draw King Crush, you don't get a chance to play him, let alone be effective and be the way you kill off your opponent.
Roland, I can totally understand why Web Spinner is your favorite card in Hearthstone.
Yeah, that's right. It is my favorite card. Although, with maybe gnomes and goblins, or goblins and gnomes, excuse me, maybe that will change because there are some funky cards there.
We might get some cool cards.
I got a chance to go over there and play a couple games with it before.
Oh, did you?
Oh my gosh, there's so much craziness happening. You're like, what is just so many things that you cannot do in physical card games that you can do in Hearthstone. And they're making such a beautiful work of it. I cannot wait to see the full set.
We need to check that out.
Yeah, it's going to be 1 month from now before it comes out. In case you guys missed the announcement, but it's been plastered all over the internet by now. So I'm pretty sure if you're watching this, you're aware of the expansion. Nonetheless, we still have to crown a champion for everything up before goblins and gnomes. And right now, Kolento is on the verge of elimination from yet another dark horse in the tournament, Kranich.
And his last deck is a Druid deck. That served him well, but this deck is... I'm not sure if he can sweep.
Well, I mean, if he takes out the Hunter, I feel like the Druid against the Warrior is not bad for Kolento.
Yeah,
so if he can win this game, I would say that he's still in a position to win the series. It's just going to be tough.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think if he wins this game, he's in a great position to win this series. Druid already matches up really well against Warrior, and then when you have an aggressive Druid like this, it's really focused on developing its board early, scaling into the mid game, and trying to end the game as quickly as possible. With Savage Roar really adding up on these minions that you've played that kind of duplicate themselves, Haunted Creeper and Echoing Ooze. That's a really bad matchup, I think, for Warrior. Just too much damage because you're trying to fight their minions with weapons. So you're just every time you're removing something, you're inherently dealing yourself more damage. And like I said, I think that Druid actually has a better matchup against his Hunter deck. So I think that coming from this perspective, it almost makes a lot of sense for Kolento to have queued up Handlock in the last matchup to try to get a win off of this Hunter deck, because Druid, I think, is matching up in a favorable position against both of them.
Well, you know, assuming he was able to use Handlock against Warrior, I feel like that would have been okay as well. And if you look at it in that light, based off your perspective, either choice would have been okay.
Right.
So maybe he was like, he didn't really care which deck to pick because the matchup is the same for both of them. It's like, okay, I'll just toss the coin and pick this one.
Also true. Also true. Well, I mean, it's elimination. It's win or go home for Kolento right now. And it's a position we don't often see him in, but in recent times, it feels like his series have been very close, to say the least. Whenever I see Kolento winning, it's just by, you know, his bare skin, being able to just get out alive.
Well, the closer you get to the Hearthstone world, you know, to actually crowning a world champion, the better the players are going to get. So no surprise to see these matches getting a lot closer.
Those players are mostly on the same level and just, you know, putting the same amount of time to prepare themselves, having similar strategies. So definitely we enjoy those longer series to see, like, you know, back and forth. And also you have those counter decks. So some of the decks have better matchups against others. So that's why you see the back and forth and the best of 5.
All right, Admirable, before the next game, you're going to have to do the innkeeper's voice for Kolento and Kranich.
Let's do it. I'm ready for it.
I mean,
I'm ready for it.
People don't really know this too much, but off camera, Admirable has a very, very good impression of the innkeeper.
So it's one of those,
almost scary. Like it's
almost like I was the innkeeper.
Yeah, exactly. Or the innkeeper. Yeah, there's no way it's not, actually. The more I think about it, it's like, oh my god, this makes so much more sense. Like, it's Admirable talking to me and telling me, like, oh, it's a legendary.
He does it all the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Epic.
It's going to be coming out. All right, so we got that settled. In the meantime, if Kolento can get past this deck, he's going to tie it up. And then if Kranich wins, he just goes on to the semifinals and plays Tither Celestial. And you know what that means? It means in the finals, we're guaranteed a player from the East.
Yeah.
From Korea/China, which people peg the West to be the heavy favorites to perhaps win this first World Championship.
Yeah. I think going into like the first and second stages of BlizzCon, that definitely was the case. But as you said, you know, Kranich, when he got in this event, boot camped and made sure that he was prepared for this. And Taylor's kind of been in the same scenario. You know, at first he was, you know, I played Hearthstone, but so he's buckled down a lot and he's really focused his game on it. No surprise, of course. Anytime you're putting up this kind of money for a championship, players are going to practice and they're going to get at the top of the game to make sure that they can claim their prize.
Well, Tiddler just finished second on WCA, grabbing a great prize as well. So he was always practicing and playing a lot of Hearthstone.
Yeah, he's been in the top for a while. You know, being able to make good runs through tournaments. And OGN Season 2, he also got stopped by Magic Wind, who also people peg as one of the best players in China as well, a top 3 player. So if the fact that he's running into those guys and they're eliminating and they're going on to the finals also speaks about Tiddler's play.
Yeah.
And, you know, of course, Tither Celestial, Artosis was saying this guy was his guy to win BlizzCon if it wasn't Kolento or Strife Crow. So I'm not surprised by all that this is a potential semifinal between him and Kolento/Kranich.
I definitely agree. And now maybe the innkeeper's voice?
No, I mean, the game hasn't started yet.
Wait,
you can announce it before the game starts.
No, you do it during.
All right.
Yeah, you know, the intro screen where he's like, Uther versus, you know, kind of go from
that's a good one. That's a good one.
Did it slip out there for a minute?
Yeah. Good, man. I like it.
Not even my girl touches me.
Why? I was just rubbing it for good luck, you know. It's one of those things. Do I get 3 wishes now? Like, well, I want my Ragnaros to hit this.
Well, did you know that
like,
genies can be really literal? You're like, I want $1 million, and then just a bunch of bucks appear, like actual like animals. You're like, ah!
It would be. It would be.
Literal genie.
I think my first wish would actually make Goblins and Gnomes come out tomorrow.
Oh,
right.
Oh,
right
man.
after the Hearthstone.
I
totally
appreciate you wasting your wish on that for us. That would be.
I'll take one for the team.
It's so super soon. It's like in 1 month.
It is.
And you can play it today. You can play it tomorrow.
Well, I mean, today I'm actually watching some of the greatest Hearthstone players in the world play, but after the World Championships, I'll hop onto those computers and then go to the StarCraft arena and make sure to catch the WCS finals.
Oh yeah, definitely. We'll have like fun with some Goblins and Gnomes.
Another thing I can't wait for.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good to me.
StarCraft final. He's so good.
No, I mean, they've got some really good stuff. I mean, I don't know if you guys got to check out any of the StarCraft 2 panels, but they have some really cool stuff planned. They're trying to go all out, and they're redesigning a lot of aspects of the game, which is really cool stuff. It's definitely the best BlizzCon ever, in my opinion. Just based off of what they're trying to do, the new game that's been hidden for so long, Overwatch was not expected, and of course we get this great Hearthstone action that's about to go underway into game number 4. Kolento needs to win this one, otherwise he's out.
Innkeeper.
Wow, what a big match for these two guys. You're just waiting for it.
I'm just waiting for Admiral.
All right.
Kranich versus Kolento.
That was perfect.
Yeah,
Amazing.
You are perfect just the way you are,
No,
Nathan.
thank you.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Did you Bruno Mars?
I wish.
Yeah.
I wish. I hopefully I'd be still casting Hearthstone as well. This game is going to be hard for either player if they draw poorly in the early rounds, but I see a pretty decent curve for both these guys.
Yeah, Kranich has a coin. He has 2 1-mana minions, so he can start. Yeah, he has a very good start. Also, like Mad Scientist, a fantastic card, giving you a secret if it dies.
Both of these players have drawn very well, and I think when both the players draw extremely well, it's the position that typically favors Druid, because Druid's really strong draws are very difficult to contest. And, you know, I mean, we've seen strong draws of Hunter. This isn't one of the strongest ones. Of course, Undertaker's the card he's looking for, but this Echoing Ooze already challenging the entire board that's here. So even something like Snake Trap, if that's going to hit the board, Kolento can kind of take his time and pick it apart between his hero powers. And of course, one of these Echoing Oozes is going to stick around. He has option for Harvest Golem. Lots of stuff happening really early in this game, but
It's incredible, like one card is challenging 2 at the same time.
yeah, still, this is going to be way up in the air. Maybe he can draw another King Crush from the Web Spinner. Get some work done with
Yeah,
that.
I guess so. Let's just do that every time. Sounds good to me. I'll use my second wish on that. Give Kranich another King Crush.
If the Battle Cry on Web Spinner was always draw King Crush, would you play it?
Yes.
Of course you would. You like winning spectacularly with all kinds of... You put an Elite Torrent Chieftain in your deck.
I got King Crush from Web Spinner in the competitive Hearthstone twice.
You put Elite Torrent Chieftain in your deck just for fun.
No, it's a good card when you get good RNG.
Is that an IEM? Is that the one that was?
Yeah, that was an IEM. I also played it somewhere else. I can buy again.
Well, he gets a Stone Tusk Boar,
hey.
so it's, you know, the miniature version of King Crush.
That's more mana efficient than King Crush. That's 1 mana for 1 power and 1 health. King Crush is 9 mana for only 8 power and 8 health. That's
right.
That's a great minion.
Well, Stone Tusk Boar actually does have some decent synergy in the deck too, right? Because he has Unleash the Hounds and Cult Master.
Yeah.
So
he's also got
Hunter's
Mark.
That's right.
It's a great one to pair with Hunter's Mark.
Yeah, it's
Very first version of Sunshine Hunter that we saw. Life Coach is one of the first players to really utilize Stone Tusk Boar Hunter's Mark as just a straight-up removal spell.
Now Kolento gets Ancient of Lore, which is an important card to refill your hand. But what do you do this turn?
Well, he has the ability to either develop the Shade of Naxxramas or play his removal spell in Wrath. I feel like Defender of Argus is also okay, but I feel like it's weaker compared to the other players. I think you want to set it up. And plus, if you get the taunt on that Spectro Knight, he will do a lot of
Yeah, so that's a really important thing to note. I think Defender of Argus actually is a really good play here. But I think saving the Defender of Argus is an even better play because taunting up that Spectro Knight really important because the way that Hunters are going to push through these kinds of minions is they're going to use cards like Hunter's Marks. They're going to use kill commands. Spectral Knight can't be targeted by any of those spells, so it sits on the board and kind of reigns terror. Now, something short of Savannah Highmane, there's really not a lot of answers the Hunter has to deal with that sort of thing. Not to mention that, but since he's going to have to wait since he'll often wait a couple turns to get that Defender of Argus on board with the Spectral Knight, he can maybe be able to use it to pop something like a Freezing Trap.
Yeah, I certainly agree. Also, like Hunter right now doesn't have a good turn 4 play. He can just...
He's got a Stone Tusk Boar.
Wow.
If he plays that Stone Tusk Boar, I feel like he... Oh my gosh, I am wrong. I thought he was... Did he get a Snake Trap off?
He did get a Snake Trap.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense to me. I thought it was a Freezing Trap for some reason.
Well, basically, I feel like Druid is disadvantaged in this matchup because of Freezing Trap. So Kolento is testing for a Freezing Trap. He knows it's a Snake Trap now. What's the line of play he's going to take?
You definitely drop Spectral Knight in this position. If you were waiting on the Defender of Argus last turn, I think you definitely drop Spectral Knight. Right now, you're going to play Defender of Argus the next turn, and that's when your big push is going to come. got Savage Roar in his hand. He's going to look for lethal in a few turns here.
Well, in the meantime, Kranich has cards to disrupt that with Sludge Belcher and Loatheb. Both of them are great in their own capacity. The thing about Sludge Belcher is that it will hopefully force out your opponent to attack and activate that Snake Trap. So that's why I feel like I'm giving it the edge of this third round.
Oh, it definitely will, because you want to taunt your minions and probably just...
Oh, jeez. Yeah, Snake Trap's still going to activate here because there is going to be that 1-2 left behind. But you know, this is the extra 5 points of damage coming out straight away.
This board is getting scary.
Yeah, and at 21, he still feels comfortable taking points of damage. Not necessarily needing to play Defender of Argus this turn. Plus, he can still heal up with Ancient Allure should he choose to do so. So a lot of 1-1's going to be on his opponent's board, but I don't really think it's that big of a deal if you're in Kolento's spot right now.
Also, the bigger the board for Kolento, the better the chance to win.
Are you bothered at cleaning up with your Spectro Knight, or are you using the extra damage to push to 24?
To push.
I think you definitely push at this point. With Savage Roar in your hand and 2 4-power minions, I think it makes a lot of sense to push, because not only is drawing a card like Force Nature really going to give you a lot of leverage, but if you decide to start playing cleanup, you're trading 4 damage for 1 damage on your opponent's side of the board. Enough, it hurts your potential to draw something like Swipe and clean up your opponent's board. And then just more on that is it's taking away your potential to end the game. Should you draw something like a second Savage Roar, or even just get in one more attack and still have a big threat on the board.
Most of the time, the player who is forced to start a cleanup first will lose the game.
That often is the case, yeah.
Well, he didn't have Cult Master. That would have been devastating.
Yeah, that could have been. That could have been really brutal.
Cult Master.
Well, he could flare first, but I guess he just wants to play Savannah Highmane, which is really hard to do with being a Druid.
It's a necessary turn to play Savannah Highmane here, but Kolento's
we think until
Kolento's got different plans in mind. He's trying to deal with this Savannah Highmane by killing his opponent. I don't think he intends to ever attack that again. To ever attack a minion again in this matchup. I'd be very outside like Hero Power or something like that, but I'd be very surprised if he did.
So is Kranich going to develop a Savannah Highmane, or is there maybe a different line of play? Flare, try to draw something and play Locket. Going for the Lion.
Yeah. It's going to be a race, that's for sure. Druid has the Savage Roar.
These are my favorite kinds of games.
How much damage does he have now?
There's an Innervate.
Okay, so he's got 8 on board plus 6, so he's got 14. He puts Defender of Argus and even Shade of Nax Rambus ramping up for the following turns, and even Innervate out the Haunted Creeper.
Yep.
I mean, how much? That's just like a crazy amount of burst from your opponent next turn.
I think it's really likely what he's going to go for here, too, because it just seems like the right play. But you can see Kolento, he's going to struggle a lot to figure out exactly what he should use Defender of Argus on this turn, because if he uses it on that Haunted Creeper, he's going to get 2 extra minions from it. Of course, he's going to think about how that affects his opponents. Unleash the Hounds.
Right.
What if my opponent does something crazy like Explosive Trap?
Sure.
I don't know
if he has Hound now.
Right.
Me.
All of those things are coming into account right now. You definitely want to taunt him the Spectral Knight, but I like the fact that he's keeping his Black Knight protected, because it means it can't get Hunter's Mark right now.
Sure.
Yeah, I
the
really
Shade
like...
Next Rambus is a guaranteed attack the following turns.
Yeah, I really like this line of play. It's like you just want to have more spiders and set up yourself for the Savage Roar.
Yep. It says, please, by all means, trade into it. Draw as many cards as you like.
Kill my taunts.
But I will try to kill you the next turn with the Savage Roar card. And well, interestingly enough, Kranich actually can reveal that Shade Next Rambus with Flare. So if you wanted to chew through it.
This is actually a really rare sight, too. If you look at Kolento, he actually looks a little bit nervous right now.
Yep.
I don't think I've ever seen Kolento nervous in a tournament situation before.
Well, his tournament life is on the line, and he has only 2 cards, and this is not a comfortable spot for Kolento. He wants to be in control. He wants to have a lot of cards, a lot of choices, and do the safe plays. And this play is an admirable play.
You just got to go for the dome, bro.
Oh, was that? I thought that was an adjective, not that we're using.
It was like...
well, yeah. Ah, that wordplay, nice.
That Defender of Argus is actually pretty important here, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
But it looks to me like he's going to choose to use Unleash the Hounds instead of Defender of Argus, which I can't fault him for that. Actually, I didn't even notice this. Really important. That player revealed that Shaded Axe Rambus. Wow. I just forget that card does that sometimes.
But
really
he
nice
is
to play this
trading
board.
down.
Yeah.
He is dealing with Savannah Highmane just through being more aggressive.
Look at this. 4,
How much
5,
damage
6,
is this?
12.
This is
This is 13 points of damage right now. There's a swipe! And that's going to end the game. A huge draw for Kolento.
Unless Kolento feels like he's a priority to clear and he's using more of his minions to trade.
Because if that's freezing
It's
trap.
going to be a freezing trap.
Oh my gosh. That's
wow,
a
it's not
really
over
good
yet.
point.
So he
Oh,
has to
geez.
know that it's not a freezing trap. Is he willing to take that gamble?
Well, even if he just goes with the play where he just swipes, he's still got a 4/5 minion on the board. He's still got his opponent really low. That 1/1's going to be picked off. Your opponent's got a couple 2/1s left.
Right?
still
You have
Ancient
Defender
Lore in
Warriors
your hand.
back in your hand, which
Yeah,
is a taunt.
I think, this is a situation. He
Right.
recognizes
He
this
knows
too.
for it.
He's
And
going
Kolento's going to even up the series, sending it to Game 5.
He smiled barely. Wait.
Yeah.
Now he knows.
Yeah, he
There
knows
we
what it
go.
is. Making sure he doesn't misclick. Tied up the series. GG.
Wow.
From Kolento there. This, like you just said, Nips, these matches are coming down to the wire. They just get closer and closer as you go down to it.
And now he's going
Wow.
to face a warrior deck, and he has an advantage. Druid is a very nice counter to a warrior deck.
Yeah, you know, the pressure that you can put on can give Warriors a problematic time. They don't have efficient ways of dealing with Haunted Creeper or Echoing Ooze. It often takes an entire Fiery War Axe to chew through these cards.
Oh, yeah.
And you're fighting it. And then how do you deal with Shade Axe Rammus without Brawl?
And
It's
sometimes
very difficult.
you even innervate a Spectral Knight, and warrior has no answer to that.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely been on the receiving end of that before. I think one of the most important cards in this matchup from the Warriors' perspective, though, Fiery War Axe is a really important one, but actually the combination of Armor Smith and Cruel Taskmaster, I think, is almost just as important. It really helps put a lot of pressure on stuff like Haunted Creeper, on cards like Echoing Ooze. It gives you a little bit of extra armor, so as you're going into the mid game and you have to use your weapons to kind of clear out your opponent's board and make sure they can't use Savage Roar to put a lot of pressure on you, that little bit of extra armor and that little bit of damage you save by killing your opponent's minions really adds up to a lot at the end of the game.
It's a very, very interesting matchup from the warrior side because you want to contest the board, like you want to clear all the minions, get as little damage as possible, and then you want to push because the longer the game goes, Druid will be able to play cards and get rid of your armor, and at some point play the combos, or maybe even double combo. And how do you defend against a double combo being a warrior? You want to kill them before they do this. So that's why Ancient of Lore is such an important card for the Druid, because you need those cards. You need to refill your hands. You need to have the options to deal damage.
Well, yeah, I think there's just a lot of momentum and tempo is really important in this game. Innervate, I don't think he's running Wild Growth, but if he has Innervates, ways to get tempo early on and get the mana advantage is an easy way for Druid to just spiral out of control. You have ways to, like you said, keep the armor low, which is really important because there are charged minions in, like Druid the Claw. And I feel like Kolento's in a pretty decent spot, but we're going to have to find out to see if it can happen because Game 5 is about to begin. The winner goes on to the semifinals of Fate to the Celestial. Who will it be? Kolento or will it be Kranich?
Innkeeper, please.
Kranich versus Kolento.
Awesome.
I must protect the one.
or death. Victory or death.
We'll work on it.
Wait, what are we looking at?
Whoa, wait a minute. Okay,
Oh, yeah, we forgot to mention
Yeah.
this. Kranich plays a weird warrior.
Yeah, he's got a much different kill condition at the end of this. He wants it's Warsong Commander, or was it actually charge?
Well, I mean, he does have that Raging Organ for
Yeah.
some big combo damage as well.
Well, he
so.
had a charge effect in here to activate
Yeah.
Raging Organ. Was it? I don't remember if it was actually charge or if it was Warsong Commander.
I got pulled away for that series really quickly, so I didn't get a chance to look. But I do think he has one of those charge activators for sure.
And there's Rampage.
Right.
So the way this combo is going to work is Raging Organ is going to get Wind Fury whenever it's damaged, and it's going to get additional point of power on it. So when you use that with Cruel Taskmaster, you use a Rampage, and it's got charge, that is a ton of Wind Fury damage you're seeing coming at your face.
But that's in the future. But right now, looking at those hands of the players, both hands are pretty awkward. No early drops for Kolento, even though the deck is packed with early drops. No early drops for Kranich. Just having those executes.
He does have Innervate, so he has an availability of Druid the Claw. His concern is, well, what if he has Execute?
Yeah, he's thinking about
Like,
Cruel
he deals
Taskmaster
with it.
He
Execute.
still needs an enabler, so it's like execute plus this master, and that's two cards for possibly two and a half.
It'll be 2 cards effectively for 2. You know, they give you the coin for free, so the extra Innervate that you have. It's 2 cards and 2 cards, but you also get in 4 points of damage when you do that. And let's say your opponent doesn't have an Execute, this can really start to add up to a lot of damage.
Because we know.
Yeah.
He's got nothing.
This is something where, like, we looked at it from our perspective, and we're like, yeah, you definitely should charge it out. But this is a risk versus reward opportunity, and so in my experience, I tend to charge out this Druid.
He's going for it.
Let's see if he's going to charge it or not. He's going to go with Taunt, so a safe play. This is something again that Kolento likes to do. He likes to play it safe, and the reason he's doing this is because Death Spite is a card he anticipates his opponent playing. But from my perspective, I'm not sure I agree with that, because if you get in 4 points of damage now, and then 4 points of damage next turn, if your opponent plays Death Bite, they've taken 12 points of damage from those 2 cards. I think that's pretty good value.
Yeah, I think so. You pay an Innervate to essentially get 8 more damage right there.
Right.
So I think based off that,
maybe he's playing around the Shield Block, Shield Slam as well.
Yeah, well,
Right.
Shield Block, Shield Slam can't be done this turn, so, I mean, you still deal 8 points of damage, though.
Oh, well, you like 4 points of damage, and then next turn they Shield Block, Shield Slam, and they kill your...
Yeah.
Well, okay, you're right. It's 8. So.
Yeah. It's a little bit more narrow of a range of playing against too, I think. So, yeah, it makes a lot of sense to taunt it. It's just a very different style of play. I mean, this is the kind of style of play that's gotten him to this World Championships. You know, it's very difficult to say that it's a mistake to play it this way. It's, you know, two very different perspectives from one small decision that would be made.
Right now he's in an awkward spot because he can't kill this Armor Smith with Wrath, and you probably don't want to give armor to your opponent. But
yeah.
I think you're shredding your opponent's armor. If he has Execute or whatever, he has to do it on his own time.
He's going to have to use his Armor Smith anyway. Armor Smith, absolutely not a threat to anything that's happening on your side of the board. Makes all the sense in the world to attack your opponent there instead.
But still, it is an enabler, so the card wasn't that bad, and you will get 1 point of armor anyway.
Yeah.
And he gets an Acolyte, so he will be able to play it turn as well.
Rampage just looks so silly sitting on the middle right now.
That's funny. You can actually rampage your opponent's creature. Did you know that?
Big Game Hunter it.
Oh!
Yeah, that's not bad.
Oh, man.
Like,
You are totally blowing my mind right now,
They have like a
dude.
2/2 on the board that you absolutely have to kill, and then you Cruel Taskmaster it to make it 4 power, then you ramp.
Yes, it's got some okay, mediocre results, but at the same time, if it pays off, I mean, you just have to make it work once, and Kranich is in the semifinals.
Oh yeah, I used it way back in the day with Injured Blade Master. I'd play Injured Blade Master.
Oh, I get it, dude. You're blowing my mind. You got these next level decks that are so far ahead of the metagame. I mean, it'll probably be really cool with some of those cards in Goblins versus Gnomes. Let me tell you.
Tough spot here for Kolento.
I think you just Wrath the 1 free to deny the draw.
It's so painful.
And then Shapeshift face for 1. Like, you don't want to use Innervate that much. It's it will be an awkward curve.
Yeah, I mean, using it off curve here, it definitely hurts a little bit, but I think it's fine. Like, what better opportunity are you going to have to use this Innervate?
Combo. Force of Nature Saboteur.
He picks up Ancient of the Lore as well.
Wow, this is really interesting that he's choosing to save the Wrath instead of save the Swipe.
I like it.
Why does he choose to do that? Why do you like that so much?
With Wrath, you can still deal a similar amount of damage. You won't expect many minions from Warrior, so the one more damage is not that significant. You use all of the mana points you have, and Wrath can be more flexible, like versatile. You can still like cycle it to a card. And Kolento's hand is not great right now.
Oh,
that's a good one, though.
Is the Ancient of Lore?
That's a reward coming.
There you go. That's one of the reasons you save it right there. This is an important card in this matchup. 2 extra cards in hand. That 5/5 is nothing to scoff at either.
Right.
Wow, there's an Inner Rage, too. Oh, my gosh. That Acolyte of Pain is a very good draw right now with what's going on.
But do you like Inner Rage and Rampage, the 3/5? Make it into an 8/8?
Yeah, then he'd be at 23 after the attack. That's a great use of all his cards. 3 damage apiece.
I mean, he's got so much damage potential with Gromage, Inner Rage, and Rampage. I didn't even think about how much that could do.
Yeah, definitely looking towards using this Acolyte of Pain and drawing cards with it. Yeah. With this Inner Rage.
You need to draw cards.
Yeah. And then if that Acolyte of Pain, which is very likely to survive a turn, could potentially get Rampage to take out another minion, that could be a big deal too.
What now?
He has a couple full plays. He can even armor up and finish the 5/5. Attack into the 5/5 with a 3/5.
Yeah.
Finish it with a shield.
I like that play a lot.
And do you play Acolyte of Pain after that? I think you can.
Yeah, I would play Acolyte of Pain and I would straight away Inner Rage it.
Yeah, deny it from being able to get silence and you lose card draw.
Exactly.
I mean, you're using cards to remove here. You need to catch up a little bit. That Ancient of Lore is huge.
Wow, he's going to go with the Execute instead, which means he really values the damage this Sludge Boat is going to bring. Acolyte of Pain's still not a bad play here. This is not a bad play by any means, but this is a very different approach, I think, that a lot of people are taking. Really valuing the idea of drawing a shield block with that shield slam here.
Well, if Kolento is able to deal with this board, then Kranich will be in trouble. He is running low on cards. He will draw one more card for Acolyte of Pain. But if there will be like Keeper of the Grove, it could shut down the draw.
Well, if he chooses to Wrath here, he's not going to be able to play anything. So, I mean, that's something to account for too. So,
Right.
I'm going to be interested to see how he plays this turn. This game would have played out very differently if I was on either side of this, but again, I'm at the casting desk, these guys. Championships, so.
And we enjoy it. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, appreciate it.
Yeah, you know, the Echoing Oozes gets so much great synergy off that Defender of Arc.
Yeah.
But by playing it, you allow that Acolyte to draw a couple of cards. He's going for Force of Nature.
Wow.
That's something that didn't jump out immediately to me either. Yeah. But it didn't even remove Sludge Belcher effectively, one card for one card.
Yeah,
But he feels like this is what he needs to do.
That's actually not bad. Not only he removes the Sludge Belcher, he also doesn't proc the Acolyte.
So it was Charge. I knew it was one of these two. I didn't know which one.
Right.
He's putting together this weird combo. Charge and
Raging Worgen.
For Raging Worgen.
Props to him.
Is there merit to just like charging your Acolyte of Pain here and just starting to get in for 3?
The problem is you don't draw cards with that, so... I would agree if it's the only thing you can do, but in this case, Kranich can pass. He's not forced by any means.
He could Shield Slam the Acolyte before armoring up.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't think that's a good idea
Yeah,
either.
I don't know if that's the best use of this site. I mean, once you've held on to this, it's got 4 natural armor too. Yeah, I think it's fine. Just attack for 2 and pass. You know, part of the benefit of the Warriors is that the longer the game goes on, sort of the better position the Warrior feels like it's in.
Well, if it plays traditional Control Warrior, when you're playing a combo-oriented one, I don't know how much of a window of an opportunity you have. Your opponent does have some taunts that can give you problems, especially considering you use both of your executes already.
Yeah, definitely. That is something really important to note. We look at Kolento's hand, 2 Defenders of Argus and a Druid of the Claw. I'm curious how pressured Kolento feels. Like he's got to remember that this is the Rampage Raging version. So
he knows.
I'm curious how much pressure that actually might influence the way he's played this matchup a lot, where he's chosen to kind of go slow and enforce removal spells from his opponent.
Swiping the Acolyte.
Yeah, he feels a lot more comfortable scaling into the late game for this deck because he's going to see fewer legendaries from his opponent. So if he can sit behind a wall of taunts and then manage to pick off what his opponent's done, I think that's a really good way to try to pick up a victory this game.
What do you think about roughing the 1-2, killing it, then charging with a Druid face, like denying the armor?
I think it makes a lot of sense. It just, I feel like he's going to use this Druid of the Claw to try to taunt at some point in the mid game. He's committed a lot to this style of play right here, where he wants to play the game slow and make sure that he's getting a lot of value from his cards and trying to force his opponent to react to what he's doing instead of the other way around. That's what it feels like he's been trying to accomplish this game.
Iron Begal seems like a blank, but I certainly appreciate the fact that Iron Begal made it to another deck.
Oh yeah, it's just been every deck so far. So good. The only deck I think I haven't seen in so far is Druid, by the way. Because Druid has 2 Keepers to the Grove, so it has access to those silence.
You don't need them that much. Yeah.
Well, you can Rampage the token. Just throwing it out there.
Wow, a 4/4, that's annoying.
I don't mind that play at all.
I mean, I don't know how much you're saving the Rampage for combos, but that seems to be a pretty strong way to seize control of the board.
He's looking at it too. Do you feel comfortable using your Grommash here without actually killing your opponent, or do you feel like it's you need to hang on to it at this point?
I would be afraid to do that.
Why exactly are you afraid? Do you anticipate big game hunter from your opponent who's played like Echoing News and things like that?
I would be afraid that it's getting smooth, and then I lose all the aggro potential. If he has like a second Force of Nature, and specifically because the first one was used like casually.
Sure. All right.
Look at that Rampage News. It's angry. It means business.
I mean,
oh gosh.
That all came from just a Sludge Belcher.
Yeah. Ooh, Special Light's not a bad one.
Wow, not bad at all. Although you can silence it and remove it. So there are ways for Warrior to deal with it, even though we said Special Knight can be problematic.
Still, this Warrior deck is really different. So what Kranich is doing right now, he's just building up armor, sitting there, and building up a 1-turn kill combo. Or like maybe two turn kill.
Yeah,
right?
he still needs Alex Strauza if he's going to get to that point.
He's used Rampage at this point too, so that's a lot less damage he's going to have to really pressure through that.
And he needs an enabler for Grommash. But still, I think like this is anybody's game.
Oh, certainly.
I feel like his enabler for Grommash this game is just going to be attacking one of his opponent's minions and waiting a turn. That's what it feels like to me.
I think he wants to also utilize shield slam before he loses his armor. So he's really thinking about how effectively to play this turn, because if the Spectre Knight keeps attacking, I mean, is there any guarantee that he can get something off?
Wow, he's going to use Grommash straight away, right into the echoing use. This feels like if you didn't use Grommash last turn, I don't really understand. Oh, and there's Big Game Hunter.
Kolento can't help but laugh at that one.
This is how you advance.
Wow, that is a huge draw right now.
I didn't even know he's playing one.
What an ill-timed Grommash. And this is likely to get
Oh
charged,
my
and here we go.
God. No, don't
the
do this,
damage is
Kolento.
pouring in.
That Grommash had a family.
Not anymore.
Oh, there goes that man.
Wow.
What a big swing in this game. I mean,
Sludge Belcher is a good card
look
to
at
get.
Kolento looks to me like he's almost embarrassed.
Yeah,
for
he doesn't
having
want to
drawn
look at
that
Kranich. He's
low.
like, don't look up.
Kranich hasn't flinched, by the way. He's just like, oh, Big Game Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a heart of a champion right now.
Just
If you
another
can
day at
endure
the
that.
office. Well, this board
wow.
getting picked apart by shield slams, but still a lot of gas.
Ooh,
on
man,
Kolento's-
that's a great target for Defender of
Wow.
Argus.
That's going to continue to build
Although
up
there's
turn
a
after
Black
turn.
Knight.
There is Black Knight.
Oh, you taunt both, I believe.
Yeah.
It's just too tasty, but the Black Knight will drop.
I mean, Black Knight's almost certainly getting played this turn regardless of what happens.
Sure.
I mean, a 5-4 is a pretty good deal, I think, for a Black Knight.
But I mean, you dealt with one of the ways for your opponent to kill you. Now you just have to worry about that charge combination.
Yep.
And then there's a very realistic possibility that Warrior doesn't have anything else. Although they do have the Alex Strasser, right? So that is also another creature you get to deal with.
There is one part of the combo, but still, Kolento is very high on life. 26 and 1 armor is a lot.
I'm kind of surprised Kolento actually didn't attack his hero power last turn. A little surprising. This is just hero powered again this turn. If we're going second Shade and Axe Rhombus.
Oh, man.
This board is getting cleared.
That shade will continue to grow.
So you play another shade, you taunt both
Taunt
of the
both
shades.
shades.
Both shades, kill the 4-5, kill the 1-2, hero power face.
Shade of Taunt Rhombus.
Shade of Taunt Rhombus.
Imagine that card just had Taunt. Just like to go along
Not
with
bad, Admirable.
it. That was actually really terrible. But
No, it wasn't bad.
So Frodo,
5 out of 10 with 1.
Frodo, tell me, how do you win this game being a warrior?
Oh, you still can win. You just it's going to be hard because you need to draw the exact card you need to start putting on pressure back on the Druid, because these Shades and Axe Rhombus are the biggest threat coming down in a few turns.
That is a card, which is good, a good card. How much
That's-
damage is this?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is 16 points of damage right now.
If he gets Rampage, he wins.
Oh, but he does have taunt creatures. But they don't activate unless they break stealth. I learned that from the Innkeeper. Hey.
Innkeeper is such a good feature.
Hey.
Oh my god, this might seal it.
This has been the perfect storm for Kranich with the series of draws that Kolento's picked up.
Now let me ask you this though. Kolento just saw his opponent on like turn 39 million, just armor and pass. How afraid of Brawl are you right now?
If you're,
Does he run, bro?
I think he's not, because
Have we
if you're
seen the full
Kolento,
30?
if you're Kolento, you know what your opponent is playing.
Well, I mean, at this point, wouldn't he just play Brawl if he's under this much pressure?
I don't know. Maybe he wants to try to bait you into playing some more minions and get some more value out of it.
Oh man, if that would be a,
Pyromancer.
if that would
He
be a
runs probably Berserk in
Rampage,
this deck, right?
Rampage would be lethal,
I don't
right?
think he does. Rampage would have been 6 more damage, so 16 plus 6. No, it would have been
22.
22
Oh,
damage. Yeah, a couple points off.
Do you clear this?
No, he's just trying to play minions to challenge the board instead. And hopefully there's no more taunts, but we do have two taunt minions coming up. Even a Keeper of the Grove to snipe.
Keeper is a fantastic card
Yeah,
as well.
he's still in a similar position though. Like, how comfortable does he feel playing against Brawl right now?
Sure.
I mean, if that was in his head last turn, it's certainly in his mind this turn.
Then he
Whether he
changes
changes his
instead.
conclusion is another story, but certainly something to think about.
I must say.
Is he playing around Raging Working combo as well?
Yeah, he is, absolutely. He saw this from Kranich. It sounds ridiculous if he hasn't met Kranich before, but he's seen his deck. Yep.
Kranich did reveal this combo deck before.
I mean, Kranich just... If you can find other ways to tear damage with his Raging Working.
He's only got 1 Rampage in here, right? You can't run 2 Rampages, can you? Can you? Oh! jeez.
So how much damage again is like
Well,
Raging
it's
Worgen?
16 points of damage.
16 point of damage, so Kranich realizes that it's do or die at this point. If his opponent has Savage Roar, it's over.
Yeah, but Kolento's got Defender of Argus, and he's got Lotheb to make sure that these minions and these spells cannot push through for lethal this turn.
Right.
But, you know, still in his mind is Brawl something that he's worried about.
If so, does he trade any of his minions away?
At this point, I don't think Brawl is something he's worried about because his opponent, I think, would have brawled last turn. After they played
Before
Alex
Alex
said, right, and said, well played in this position, unless he's really getting mind gamed.
That is
There's just
true.
no
we
chance
have
this Brawl's
we've
coming.
seen that underplayed a lot. The fact that you can see your opponent. I mean, both these guys refusing to look at each other, or struggling to keep their eyes open. Either way, fatigue is definitely settling into the equation here.
Yeah.
If Kolento plays any of those minions, he plays this Defender of Argus, he is putting himself in a position to win this game next turn.
Yeah.
And is he going to do it?
I think so. The Defender of Argus seems a great choice. Once again, refused to play Lotheb, so that way he has something on the board in case something goes horribly, disastrously wrong.
Wait a minute.
It's a brawl.
Is Fiery War Axe here going to be lethal?
Yes.
Oh, you're right. Oh, he still has a chance.
A weapon is lethal.
Oh!
Wait.
Oh
That's
my
lethal.
gosh.
That's exactly
He
different.
has the
4,
exact
5, 6,
mana
7,
for
8.
kill him.
He's got exact lethal with that
That's-
top
oh
deck.
my God.
Ronan, I cannot believe it. That was a huge draw right
16
now.
points of damage,
Raging Warrior,
10 points of mana.
charge, inner rage, unbelievable.
Kolento eliminated from the tournament. Kranich is going to advance.
Kranich jumps out in huge shock and celebration. He has somehow upset Kolento.
He finally smiled.
And advanced into the semifinals.
I am stunned right now. I cannot believe it. That I'm speechless.
That was
do you
crazy.
How do you even
Speechless.
play around that combo?
That
don't
was
know.
double
absolutely
He
insane.
needed to play Lotheb
You
that
can't
turn.
play around that.
He needed to play Lotheb that
he
turn
didn't
to play around
Lotheb
it.
that
Yeah.
turn. That was the only way.
You have 15 points of health, 1 point of armor, double taunts, and you still lose.
Yeah.
Just staring at one dragon.
He needed to play Lotheb that turn to be able to seal it.
Stunning finish to that best of 5, and we have our second semifinalist as Kolento respectfully shakes Kranich's hand. And you know what? He did it with his own deck. Like, he didn't copy the warriors that we normally see. In fact, he used a completely different control warrior, or isn't even control warrior, combo warrior that we haven't seen. It is apparently popular in China, but I guess people are going to take notice of it now.
I can see why it's popular. That was a
That's
ton
an
of damage.
exciting deck. Can we say it's like Kranich Warrior right now? That's a new archetype.
Well, I'm not sure if he brought it. I think some other people have been playing it for a while, but you know, he's the one who's winning with it on Hearthstone World Championship stage, so I wouldn't be mad.
Still, that's a fantastic story. Like, a player comes here with his own creation, like a creation that nobody's seen before in Europe and in A, and he's like getting to the top 4 of World Championships at BlizzCon 2014. I'm stunned. Like, I don't know what to say.
I can say that was awesome.
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
That was great.
Yeah, that was a great
That
play
was
series, I think, for
fantastic.
both the. I mean, they're literally.
Use any other super actions if you want. That was wonderful.
As sad as I am that Kolento is eliminated, I think he get down with style. Like, if you lose
Oh, I
to
see
this,
why. You're bleeding blue right now. Okay.
That teammate
You
of
can't
yours.
be sad.
I know. I
Sure,
fully
sure.
understand. I mean, when your teammate gets eliminated from anything, you know, it feels like you just got eliminated from something. Especially this close to a world championship. I don't blame you for that.
Yeah, but a Raging Worgen dealing 16 points of damage. How
You
awesome is
can't
that?
be mad at that.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no way.
All right, yeah,
There's no
that's
way.
when you say you have best. Like, well played,
Yeah.
my good sir, and he definitely did. The man of the moment, Kranich, is waiting with Rachel and Wade. Can you guys believe that's the way the series ended? Unbelievable.
Unbelievable is a great way to put it, Frodan. Congratulations. Let's give a round of applause to this guy right here. He said his heart was beating very fast. Mine too. Mine too. Great games. You know, some of your fans say that you can control the draw of your opponent. Did that happen in this matchup for the semifinals?
Yes, definitely, because it was so tough matchup between like me and Kolento, and I think it is really hard to beat Druid with this deck, of course, and yes, that was so dramatic that I cannot believe that I made it.
Great job. Great job.
I can totally believe that you made it because we were talking, and you said that you grew up watching StarCraft 2 professionals. You grew up watching Warcraft professionals. Now, you are just 2 matches away from joining them in the Hall of Fame as a professional gamer. What does that mean to you?
Maybe I don't know. I just even cannot dream about that, and I just like really surprised that these things are happening in my life. But I don't know. Maybe this is the like most chance for my life, and I'm just enjoying it.
That's great. Always having fun. Let me ask a little bit about your upcoming match, because you have, of course, semifinal tomorrow.
Yeah.
And how do you prepare? I mean, you have less than 24 hours. Is there something that you will do? Watch games, VODs, study opponents' decks. Can you give us an idea on what your plans are preparing for the next match?
I just prepare in my mind and not really playing many games, because in this tournament, players have to figure out what decks are really strong to their opponent and what decks are not, and what to they have to decide what to ban or what to use against the opponent's deck, and all of these things are really hard, but they have to think a lot and make their choice. Yeah. So I will do such thing.
I don't know how much choice is involved and how much it's you picking which cards are going to come out of their deck. So I think we're going to have to watch your matches tomorrow and see how much mind control you have.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I have another question. Kranich, do you know what a poker face is?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know what it means.
What do you think, how would you rate your poker face on a scale of 1 to 10 in game 3 when you pulled King Crush from your web spinner? Because I thought I saw like a celebration, like perfect card, and I'm wondering if maybe it should have been a little bit more.
Okay, so I usually do not try to make some emotions in my face until I am playing tournament matches. But what I thought was that like how funny. I just that my web spinner had died, and I just thought that how it will be funny if it gets King Crush at that moment. And it really gives me King Crush, and I was really surprised. So that was like I don't know, maybe.
You said, oh, I can control my web spinner draws too. So
Maybe.
All right. Any final questions, Rachel?
No, you know what? I just thought it was also funny. You had a bit of a mind meld with one of our tavern guests over here, because he saw your web spinner and he goes, I bet that's going to be King Crush. So maybe you have some fan in the crowd to thank for making that happen for you. He's the true orange you got out there somewhere.
Okay.
Anyway, congratulations.
Yeah.
You've moved on. We'll see you tomorrow
Thank you.
for the semifinals.